So what we have here and what we're going to do here is the defense response to the state's alibi demand. So this is the state itself. It says, comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through the attorney of record Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby files notice in response to the demand for alibi, and in compliance with Idaho Code 19. Mr. Kohberger notes that Idaho Code preserves his constitutional right to silence as well as to testify on his own behalf. Mr. Kohberger stands firm on his constitutional right, as well as the statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of what he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. A defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi, but as soon as he offers evidence that he was at some place other than where the crime of which he is charged was committed, he is raising the alibi defense. Mr. Kohberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Kohberger being at a location other than King Road address will be disclosed pursuant to discovery. Oh, shit! And evidentiary rules as well as statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state, as well as calling expert witnesses. Holy shit! Holy shit! Am I reading this right? Oh, let's go back. Let's go back. Hold on. He's going to testify on his own. Well, he has the right to silence as well as to testify. He stands firm on his constitutional right as well as statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. A defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi, but as soon as he offers evidence that he was at some other place other than the crime of which he is charged was committed, he is raising an alibi defense. Mr. Kohberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Kohberger being at a location other than the King Road address will be disclosed pursuant to discovery and evidentiary rules as well as statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state as well as calling expert witnesses. Jesus Christ. Bethany fucking Funk. Or it's going to be one of the... bro. Let me try that again. It is anticipated that this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state, as well as calling expert witnesses. We've been right all along. I don't know if I'm just interpreting this document wrong. He's going to say he was somewhere else with a witness. Bethany Funk is the one who oh, man. Oh, man. He was with Bethany, Kathy says. I wonder if he was Bryan getting a nasty with Bethany. And I bet you that is why Bethany had so much issues. Oh man, this is gonna blow this case wide the fuck open. It's gonna blow the fucking case wide the fuck open if this is the, oh my God. Kind of though. What if he was with Bethany Funk in her room though? Well, remember, they're going to call expert witnesses too. He says, as well as expert witnesses, which this could be, for instance, there could be text messages, evidence on their phones, and a forensic, maybe the expert is a forensic motherfucker. That's why her statement wasn't using the PCA. Now, the question is, was he with Funk on the first floor? Was he the naked man running from the house that has been rumored to exist? That would be a reason why, because remember, the night before, there was 150 people in that house. Was Kohberger with Bethany then too? Is Kohberger Bethany's side dick? Oh man, all them people that were screaming incel and shit like that, oh bro. If we find out, and remember I made a video on this 2 months ago saying Kohberger was busting them cakes. He was bringing her home at 9:15 the next morning. And maybe he turned his phone off so he wouldn't get notifications why he was fucking Bethany. What if he came to pick her up at 4 in the morning? Took her back to his house, and then came back and dropped her off at 9:15. What if? Maybe that's when the front, remember they said the front door was open and shit? Who else would go out the front door but Bethany? Who would come in the front door but Bethany? She was the one on the first floor. Hell yes, Tudor Bunny. Good to see you, beautiful. And by the way, thank you. We was all concerned. There you go. There's the Tudors. Or they did it together. That's a possibility. But bro, if we find out Kohberger and Bethany was fucking, it's gonna change everything. It's gonna change everything. Let's go back to this. Let's try this. Let me take a look at this again. Let me see what I'm reading here. Mr. Kohberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Kohberger being at a location other than the King Road address, so he wasn't down in the base, will be disclosed pursuant to discovery and evidentiary rules as well as the statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state, as well as calling expert. Oh, man. It's Bethany. It's Bethany. Because why would it be Dylan? It can't. Why would it be? Because think about think about witnesses being called by the state. I assume those witnesses at this current point are Bethany and Dylan. Remember, the defense wanted to talk to Bethany. Remember, the defense wanted to go to California. Was it California or Vegas? Vegas, right? They wanted, or Nevada, right? They wanted to go to Nevada to talk to Bethany. They wanted it on record. And that is when the state did the grand jury indictment. Do y'all remember that? They were literally going to go to Reno and talk to. They had agreed and all of that. She wouldn't come there and talk and be depositioned, but they would go to Reno and depose her there. And then the minute they had that agreement, that's when the grand jury indicted Kohberger. And what that did was cancel that meeting. That's why he asked if they arrested anyone else. It's a good point. I don't know if this necessarily puts Kohberger off the hook, but let me explain this. It would explain. It would explain a lot. Is it that hard to believe that Kohberger went there at 4 a.m., picked her up, took her back to the house, fucked the shit out of her, brought her back at 9:30? Is it that hard to believe? How many times have you dudes picked a chick up at 4:30, took her back home after you got done, when y'all woke up? It would explain everything. But also, because remember the original timeline? If that happens, here's the truth. The victims may have already been dead. And they just didn't know. Kohberger very well couldn't, because Bethany didn't know at night. So it's very possible Bethany nor Kohberger knew. Kohberger's just picking her up in the front door, knock, knock, whatever. Picking her up at the front door. Taking her off to go bang. Because why, just to be perfectly honest, wouldn't you rather go to the dude that lives in his own apartment's house than sit and fuck in a house with four or five other people? It would make sense to me. It would make sense to me. What if that motherfucker with a PhD in criminal investigation just committed the perfect crime he's about to beat just to prove he can? Everybody keeps saying that. I don't think that's the case. I genuinely don't think he did it. I cannot see BK with Dylan, to be honest. Probably not. 1 a.m. when the bars closed, not 4 a.m.? What do you mean? But his car was seen at like 4 a.m. Why would she want to stay quiet when she could clear him? Now that's a valid question, Roy. Maybe, well, she had a boyfriend, didn't she? Didn't Bethany have a boyfriend? Or was it just Dylan that had a boyfriend? I'm pretty sure Bethany had a boyfriend. Maybe she hasn't been quiet, though. That's a good point. If Bethany had a boyfriend and she was getting some strange on the side, would you, you know what I mean? Like, oh. She had her lawyer make him back off. Exactly. It said just me, JB, 2-0 for 4 a.m. pickups. That makes sense. But if it's only 8 miles away, yeah, she was quiet for a reason, and there's no mention of her really in the PCA. Almost said PCT. Dylan definitely had a boyfriend. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to clip this and put this over on the True Crime channel, give them some more morsels, little niblets. By the way, if you're on the True Crime channel and I know there's comments turned off over there and y'all want to know why, you come join us over here. We do live streams, and we don't always talk about true crime. If you want to talk to me, you can come talk to me over here. If not, you can just watch the videos and leave no comments over here. I still think everyone in the house knows what happened. I think it's possible, Roy. And by the way, yes, I'm punishing them over there. For the ones that believed that bullshit and had the nerve to talk shit in my comment section. What if the real killer was a cop or someone influential? I don't know if I don't know. I don't think that would be the case. Because if we eliminate Kohberger, don't we got to go back to our original suspects? I agree, Jenny. We're all in for a surprise. Like, let's eliminate Kohberger for just a second. And then let's go back to the beginning. Are we still 100% sure Jack Showalter wasn't the guy? The dude with the hoodie? He was with him? He was with them? Remember the statement. What did you tell Adam? Everything. They're going to get you. They literally were caught saying this. I don't think Jack D had anything to do with it. They literally were on camera saying this. What did you tell Adam? Everything. They're going to get you. You see what I'm saying? Why do people, you think, why would somebody kill somebody over a goddamn, like, $4K is not, it's the dog? You think that's why? Does anybody even here even know if they paid $4,000 for the dog? Just because a dog is valued at $4,000 doesn't mean that they paid $4,000 for it. And even if that's the case, I don't know, man. They were calling him. Maybe Jack S knows. Yeah, I don't know. I would have killed my ex over my dog. Yeah, not everybody's like that. If people killed their exes over the exes taking the dog, everybody that ever had a dog would be killing people. Does that make sense? Does that make, we got a gangbanger over there. You see gangbanger with his comments. What's up, Salt Spreader? But anyway, does that make sense? Like, every relationship that ends, every marriage that ends in which a dog is there, the dog goes with one of the two. Is that would you say that's a fair and accurate statement? The drugs, I agree, follow the drugs. I agree. So we go back to some of the earlier candidates, plus Demetrius and all that. Yeah, once you eliminate Kohberger, you got to then once again look at Jack S. You got to consider Demetrius, just for racial reasons and his history. You then got to consider. No, I'm just fucking with you, Salt Spreader. He said, I'll kill again. But anyways, I think that I agree. I think we're on. Remember, there was 3 DNAs found. Kohberger's and 2 other dudes. And one dude wouldn't give them their DNA. I think you need to go back to whoever wouldn't give you the DNA. Remember the dude wouldn't give him the DNA and they had to wait until he dropped a cigarette butt to get his DNA? Remember that shit? I think they need to hone in on that shit. But you got to look at some of the old names. I don't believe Jack D did it. It's possible, but I don't believe it. He doesn't seem like the murder Ford people type of motherfucker. I could be wrong. JLR is too little to murder a cat. JLR could said investigate JLR. JLR has never squashed a bug on his he's never squashed a bug. Drug ring that was threatened. Maybe. Exactly, Tudor. Look, man. In closing with this, I think this is a bombshell document. I think this is a bombshell document, and I think this says a lot. Now, not everybody may think it says a lot. I'm not sure what. No, I'm not. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see other people's. It'll be interesting to see everybody's fucking analysis of this. News Nation, all that shit. Let me go over here real quick. Let me see if News Nation has. Let me see here. Let me see if they got anything.
America is.
I don't think they do. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, let's see what these motherfuckers are blabbing about, because they an hour ago. Here's what this.
Well, the alibi deadline extension for Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger has now come and gone. Kohberger had until the end of the day on Monday to submit an alibi detailing his whereabouts the night 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their off-campus house.
Kohberger could have still been the guy.
To confirm any details on what that alibi may have been, if he offered one. And at the same time, his defense team is claiming DNA connecting Kohberger to the murders could have been planted at the scene of the crime by one of the hundreds of members of law enforcement during the investigation. Joining us now, trial attorney.
Yeah, it could have been definitely Brent Kohberger.
Oh my gosh, this is really interesting development here. Is this a far-fetched play from the defense team or a smart legal strategy that any evidence was planted?
Hey, Marnie, great to be with you. It's actually both. I'm not surprised at all. In fact, when this case broke, within a week or two, I was on another network indicating that Kohberger is going to attack the crime scene, the preservation of evidence.
Yeah, it's a smart move.
Mismanaged. This goes one step a little further, which is, hey, the police actually planted the DNA on the sheath that was on top of the knife. Look, it's a dangerous strategy, but when you're desperate, you have to resort to desperate measures.
Would you also look at the timeline of when they found that DNA? I mean, that would be something that's kept in evidence, the timing of locating that sheath versus at that point they didn't know who the suspect was.
I definitely think that Kohberger is going to attack the crime scene and the evidence, obviously. They've had cops there plant the evidence in the past. So, I mean, no, it makes sense, Tudor. Makes sense. I'm so geeked. I want to know the goddamn alibi. Clearly in the response, they're pointing to an alibi. They're pointing to it clearly. So I think that's going to be Kohberger's defense, is his alibi, which is perfect.
Later, they were at his apartment searching.
Yeah, great.
But the chain of custody on this is going to be goofy.
Oh, that would have been fun. Maybe in my next life.
There you go. No, that's an excellent point. I was thinking of that this morning, right? How would law enforcement have been able
exactly
to
spun out
transfer Kohberger's DNA onto the leather sheath? Because it took many, many weeks and months before they actually retrieved his DNA. So how in the world would they have been able to put it on, you know, on this sheath early on? So that's going to be the argument of the prosecution, Marnie. I mean, look, it's a dangerous.
See, I hate these idiots. They're not saying that they planted the DNA. The planting of the sheath is what they're saying. And it makes sense because remember the first run through in the crime, that sheath was not found next to the bodies till 4 p.m. The cops there were noon. Noon. The first walkthrough was noon. The second one, 4 p.m., is when they found the knife sheath. You would think that would be the first thing that they would find at noon when they're looking at the dead bodies. They're like, hey, there could be a knife. You would think that, right?
Because you're attacking law enforcement. You're telling them that they're lying and committing fraud, Marnie. That's much different than, oh, this is a reckless crime scene. You were careless at the crime scene. I mean, Kohberger is going to argue this was a calculated effort to frame me for this murder, and that's a really dangerous tactic.
Yeah, it's a big claim, planting evidence in a case like this. The importance of having an alibi. We don't yet know where he was the night of the murders, what he has said in response. Might he say nothing? What do you expect from his defense?
Yeah, Marnie, I
exactly,
Gordon.
Gordon.
Say nothing, and here's why. This Idaho law is arguably unconstitutional if you think about it. It requires a defendant in a murder case to give an alibi 10 days after they're arraigned. Here the judge gave an extension up to 2 months. But look, every defendant in a murder case has a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
Right.
This law in Idaho that's very unique is almost forcing a defendant to come forward, give us your alibi, give us the facts that support your alibi. And here he's saying no. And the big question in this case is going to be, will a judge allow this evidence before a jury? Because Kohberger, I'm not siding with Kohberger, I'm just calling it as it is. I mean, he has a right to say nothing,
right,
and not speak to this issue of an alibi.
Right.
How can a state law require him to now speak about his alibi? I think it conflicts with the Fifth Amendment.
Right, but any jury of his peers, I mean, anybody who's watching this.
That's right,
if you have an alibi and you had a legitimate place you were when this happened, why wouldn't you say it, right? I mean, you read between the lines, as people do.
But what if he's not testifying at trial? What if he pleads the Fifth at trial? He doesn't, then there is no requirement to put up an alibi. I mean, his lawyers, if he does testify in the case, he'll probably say, I was home, right? He's got the phone off. He's going to have to deal with that. He's got it on airplane mode. You've got the videotape of allegedly the white car he was driving, you know, speeding away from the scene. But look, Marty, in cases like this, it's not uncommon for a suspect in a high-profile murder case to sit there and say nothing.
Right.
Yes, in a perfect world, he gets up and says, hey, here's my alibi. I was reading a book in my apartment at the time of the murders. It's going to be hard for him to come up and say, hey, somebody can speak for him. I was hanging out with a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? It's going to be hard to do that because that person's probably lying under oath then. But look, at the end of the day, he's not legally required to even speak about any of these charges against him.
Thank you for watching. Go to News.
Man, that's a good point. Constitutionally, he doesn't have to say shit. And a lot of times it's smart to not say shit. When you're facing execution, you got to do things strategically and intelligently. It's on airplane mode. I mean, he doesn't want to be disturbed while he's tapping that ass. Bam! That's exactly right. Because let me tell you something. I'm going to say one more thing on this case, on this right now. Let me tell you what happens when I got a chick here. When I got a chick here and I'm fucking somebody, I do the same thing. I put my shit on airplane mode. I don't just put it on silent because bitches hear if your phone vibrates. Do you see what I'm saying? And bitches are nosy. Who's texting you at 3 o'clock in the morning, JB? Fuck. Men and women will do that if they don't want whoever you're fucking at that moment to know that other bitches text you in the middle or dudes text you in the middle of the night. Make sense? I've done it. I've put my phone on airplane mode. But also, my phone also dies at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning all the time. Because I go to sleep watching it. So, makes sense to me that his phone died, and then when he woke up, or whatever, or maybe whatever. I'll leave that there when it comes to that story. I'll leave that there. And in fact, that's where we're going to end today's stream. I will be back tonight at 6 p.m. That's only in 4 hours. Maybe 7. Depends. I got to piss. We'll see. I get something to eat. But I want to say thank you to everybody that hit the tip jar. Thank you to everybody that didn't. I think that would go. Yeah, gorgeous. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. I think we're about to get some news with Kohberger that's just going to fuck it all up. Fuck it all up. It's going to be big. I love you guys. I will see you guys later. Thank you to everybody. Good to see you back, Tutor Bunny Me. Good to see you. Upgrade, you know, you already know. Love y'all. I love y'all. Gorgeous out of there. I'll see you guys tonight. You guys have a wonderful day. Glad you're feeling better, Tutor Bunny. Peace out. Thank you, Denny. Appreciate you.